only eat when you're hungry and stop when you're full. Always say yes to donuts and ice cream. And never eat emotionally. If this has been your understanding of what intuitive eating is, then we need to talk. In today's video, I'm going to clarify for you these 3 biggest intuitive eating mistakes, why they're not true, but also what you can do instead so that you can truly make peace with food and know how to listen to your body. Hi, it's Mia. I've been a registered dietitian for 13 years and also a nutrition professor for the past 10 years. And whenever I teach clients or my students about intuitive eating, these are some of the common misconceptions of intuitive eating that keeps coming up over and over again. So I decided to make a video about it. Mistake number 1, thinking intuitive eating is only eating when you're hungry and stopping when you're full, so you eat on the fly without planning at all. However, there are many reasons why your hunger and fullness signals might not be too reliable right now. And not to mention that intuitive eating is also so much more than just listening to your hunger and your fullness. So let me give you some examples. If you have dieted all your life or you have a history of an eating disorder, then your body might not be even sending you accurate hunger and fullness signals. And so if you were just left to listen to your body right now, you might say, oh, but I don't feel hungry, so it's okay for me to skip breakfast or it's okay for me to skip lunch, when in reality, there is a certain amount of fuel that your body needs on a regular basis throughout the day. And yet, if you were just left to follow your hunger signals right now, you might choose not to eat until late at night. It's also very possible if you spent so much time dismissing your body's cues because maybe you had rules that said, oh, you can't eat after 8 p.m. or you can't eat between meals or whatever the rules might have been. Then if you're so used to eating on kind of a forced schedule, then the only level of hunger that you actually feel in your body might be the starving level of hunger, because maybe you're restricting food most of the times, and every time your legitimate meal time came around that was allowed by the diet, you were always super, super hungry, and that is the only level of hunger you came to recognize. And on the flip side, it might be that if you are someone who struggled with binge eating, then the only level of fullness that you know might be, I'm stuffed and I need to unbutton my pants kind of fullness. And so if that is your only perception of fullness, you're regularly getting overly full beyond the actual amounts that your body ideally needs. So in a lot of these cases, we can't just rely on the hunger and fullness signals you're feeling right now. What needs to happen when you're first learning to listen to your body and you're first beginning intuitive eating, you actually might need some planning to eat regularly throughout the day so that you can train your body's normal hunger and fullness signals to return. And on the other side, you also have to practice actually connecting to your body and feeling your body's cues so that you're not just feeling the super hungry and super full levels, but also be able to notice the more subtle levels of hunger and subtle levels of fullness, because that's going to really help you eat the right amount without the need to calorie count or portion control and use these external measures to decide how much to eat. And that is the beauty of intuitive eating. And by the way, if you feel like you're one of those people who only feel that starving level of hunger and a really uncomfortable level of fullness, this is one of the many things that I'm going to teach you about inside the 10 days of Compassionate Intuitive Eating free audio series that is starting on November 29th. We're going to go over one intuitive eating principle a day, and one day is entirely dedicated to hunger and also fullness. So make sure you sign up for that. Okay, now mistake number 2, thinking that honoring your cravings just means breaking food rules and eating donuts and ice creams all day and every day. Let me first start by validating that if you're someone who has been on restrictive diets, and one of the reasons that you felt so excited about intuitive eating is because it says to honor your cravings. And so when you first try to give yourself permission and you ask yourself, do I really want this ice cream? And you feel like the answer is yes every single time. This is very normal, because you've been deprived of ice cream or the donuts or whatever that off-limit food used to be for you. And so you kind of have to go through this period of what I call donut land, which means Imagine this pendulum where you're swinging from diet land, where you're restricting and depriving yourself of this off-limit food, but when you start giving yourself permission, you swing all the way to donut land. And donut land is this exciting place where you feel like, yes, give me the donuts, give me the ice cream, and it feels like the gates to all these exciting foods just break open and you want to eat all of it. And this is the period where people might say, I tried intuitive eating, but I just wanted to eat junk food all day, every day, and so I couldn't do it. But we kind of have to spend some time in donut land because your body has to get to a point for it to really sink in that we're no longer in diet land anymore. So in order for that to really sink in, you might need to spend some time in donut land. But after a little bit of time, and when you do this in a strategic way that intuitive eating teaches you to do, that you can get to this middle of the pendulum. So you swing from diet land to donut land to the place of discernment. And this place of discernment is when you ask your body, do I really want the donut? And sometimes the answer is yes, sometimes the answer is no. And that yes and no happens more and more in balance, even without you trying to enforce rules. And the more you practice this and the more your body starts to really trust you that we don't have to go crazy when we have the chance to eat the donuts and ice cream, you're also going to be able to tune in with your body's other needs, even when you are honoring your cravings. So for example, you might have a feeling that, ooh, I'm really craving donuts right now. And initially when you ask yourself, do I really want the donut? The answer might feel like a yes, but then when you're in this discernment stage, you might be able to recognize that, ooh, the donut sounds really good, but I'm also recognizing that I'm actually hungry because it's been more than 3-4 hours since I had my meal. So then you might be able to bring in some logic and thought to think that, okay, the donut sounds good, but I'm recognizing that I'm actually hungry for a meal. So let me go eat a meal that has more substantial components. And then let's check in if we still want the donut like a craving, and then I can give myself permission to eat it. Do you see the difference here? You're not just saying yes by considering one aspect of what you want and need, but you're able to consider the multiple aspects of what your body might need in that moment. Being able to do this is a little bit more advanced level of intuitive eating. And again, in the beginning stages, you might just have to stay in donut land for a while until your body trusts you. But as you get closer to discernment, you get to consider the bigger factors and make a comprehensive decision based on what you truly need in that moment. Moving on to mistake number 3, thinking that intuitive eating means you can never get overly full, you can never emotionally eat, and if you do, you failed. So this is what I see happening in so many of my clients at the beginning stages because they're so used to making rules about food and about eating because that's what diets taught them to do. It was all about do this, don't do that, eat this, don't eat that, and there was always a right or wrong, good or bad food, and a success or fail. However, you are a complex human being. Your body is not the same in every moment. Your life is not the same in every moment. And sometimes life gets messy, eating gets messy. It's not always going to be perfect, and that is okay. Intuitive eating is not meant to be yet another way that you judge yourself. Intuitive eating is not another set of rules that you're supposed to meet and check off the boxes if you did right or wrong. Remember, the ultimate purpose of intuitive eating is that it's a self-care framework. It's a reconnecting with your own body framework, meaning depending on what's going on in your body at any given time, are you on your cycle? Are you having a really active day? Are you having a stress day? When is the last time that you ate? What is a particular food that you're craving today? Depending on all of these factors, it can become easier or harder to listen to your body's needs and give it what it wants. But the beautiful thing about it is it's impossible to fail intuitive eating because even when you get uncomfortably full, when you're so used to this dichotomous black and white thinking, right or wrong thinking, your brain might automatically go to, ooh, I got too full. I failed intuitive eating. But the point of intuitive eating is not to find that perfect level of fullness every single time. It's just a framework to allow you to connect with your body. And so when you do end up uncomfortably full, it doesn't have to be, oh, I got too full and I failed. it gets to be, this overly full feeling doesn't feel great. But I wonder what happened. Let me get curious about it. I wonder why I got too full. And the answer might be, oh, I waited too long between meals. Or, oh, I was really excited about eating this food that I don't get to have often, so I ate it super fast, and that's why I ended up uncomfortably full. Do you see how when you ask yourself this question of, I wonder why, instead of judging yourself, you get to learn more about what might have happened and how you might make a different choice the next time. Similarly, even in the case of emotionally eating, doesn't mean you did something bad and wrong. It might not be the most ideal situation, but it's not to say that you should never do it or that you should judge yourself for it. So even when you find yourself turning to ice cream every time you feel sad, instead of saying, oh, I'm so bad, I should be ashamed of myself, we can turn that into a compassionate question to ask ourselves, whew, this is a difficult moment, and it makes sense why I want to bury myself in food when I experience these moments. But let me check in with myself. Is this actually helping me? Do I actually feel better? And sometimes you might. Sometimes the answer might be yes, and that's okay. Then ice cream can be one of the ways in which you maybe self-soothe. But if every time you check in with yourself and the question is, actually, it's not helping, I'm actually ending up physically uncomfortable, and it's not taking away the emotional sadness either, then maybe this is not the best way to take care of myself in these moments. But being able to look at it from this more gentler lens gives you space to explore other options. And that is what intuitive eating is meant to allow you to do. There's no failures, only learning opportunities. And that is such a beautiful thing about intuitive eating. And that's why having this compassion, curiosity, and kindness for yourself is so important and is actually the foundational piece of intuitive eating that many people don't understand. Because it is impossible to make peace with food or your body if you constantly have a mean inner critic, a mean inner bully judging you about whether you did things right or wrong, whether you ate a good or bad food, and that shames you about your body and your food choices. And this is exactly the reason why my upcoming free audio series is called 10 Days of Compassionate Intuitive Eating. Compassion is built into intuitive eating, but because no one really talks about it in that way, and many people do not understand that it is a compassion-based approach. That's why I really wanted to teach and go over the 10 intuitive eating principles from this compassion-based standpoint so that you can build that foundation to really be able to listen to your body with curiosity, with kindness and respect and care for your body. So I hope you will join me. This free audio series is starting on the day after Thanksgiving in 2024. That is when I'm filming this video right now. So how this works is everyone who signs up is going to get a link to the free Telegram chat group. And every morning, starting on November 29th, I'm going to drop an audio lesson. This audio lesson is going to be a combination of me teaching about an intuitive eating principle, also a little bit of my pep talk for you as we go into the holidays and almost approaching New Year season, which we all know that is the loudest diet culture season and when all the diet talk ramps up. So this is such a beautiful time to start building that compassionate foundation and to build your toolbox with intuitive eating. So find the link in the description box to join, and I can't wait to start this audio series with you. And if you enjoy this video, I would love to hear what other questions about intuitive eating that you have that you might want me to make a video on, and I'll see you next time. Bye.